There are two kinds of predators that wear human skin. One moves through the world with the cold, silent precision of a shark in deep water, its eyes holding nothing but an ancient emptiness. The other attacks with the unpredictable, fiery rage of a rabid wolf, cornered and scarred by the world. We give them the same names: psychopath, sociopath, and in doing so we fail to see the abyss that separates them. Forget the clinical checklists. The true difference is a mystical one, rooted in the very nature of their darkness. Through the eyes of Carl Jung, we will uncover these two faces of the shadow. You will learn that one was born from a void, and the other was forged in a fire. And understanding which is the key to seeing the true nature of the evil we walk amongst.
So, the shark and the wolf, the void and the fire. This isn't just poetry. It's the closest we can get to describing a fundamental truth about the darkness that walks in our world. To truly understand the difference between the psychopath and the sociopath, you have to forget the checklists. You have to go to the source code of the human psyche. The great psychologist Carl Jung had a name for this source code of our darkness. He called it the shadow. It's the blueprint for our own personal monster, the collection of every instinct and impulse we are taught to bury. Our rage, our envy, our greed, our cruelty. For most of us, that blueprint stays in a locked drawer. We know it's there, but it doesn't run our lives. We live with our shadow. But here is the great split, the secret that changes everything. For one of these predators, the monster is the original blueprint. There was never anything else. For the other, the monster is what's left after the original blueprint was soaked in gasoline and set on fire. This is the core of it all. We are not talking about two slightly different personality disorders. We are talking about two entirely different psychic events: a void and a storm. Let's talk about the void first. This is the one that truly chills you to the bone. This is the darkness that feels ancient, cold, and intelligent. When you encounter this person, everything on the surface seems perfect. They are often charming, successful, even charismatic. They wear a mask, what Jung called the persona, and their mask is flawless. It's a work of art, but if you're paying attention, you feel it. There's nothing behind the eyes. You're talking to a perfect puppet, a beautiful suit with no one inside. They will mimic human emotion with stunning accuracy, but they do not feel it. They studied it. They laugh at the right times. They show sympathy when it's socially required, but it's all a performance, a set of algorithms designed to get what they want. There is no inner conflict here. There is no struggle between good and evil inside them. Why? Because there is no good. They weren't born with a moral compass that later broke. They were born without one. The part of the human psyche that connects to empathy, to remorse, to the collective sense of right and wrong, it's simply not there. It's a missing piece of hardware. When they hurt you, they feel no more guilt than you would feel for stepping on an ant. It's not that they don't care about the rules, it's that they genuinely cannot comprehend why the rules should apply to them. They see other people not as fellow human beings, but as objects, tools, pawns on their private chessboard. This is the cold predator, the shark. It does not hate the fish it eats. It simply does not consider the fish at all. This is the darkness born of emptiness. Now, think about the other one, the fire. This darkness feels completely different. It's not cold, it's hot. It's chaotic, impulsive, and volatile. When you meet this person, you don't feel an eerie calm. You feel a constant tension, like you're walking on eggshells around a bomb that could go off at any second. Their mask, their persona, is sloppy. It's cracked and poorly made. You can always see the rage simmering just beneath the surface. They are prone to fits of explosive anger, to wild mood swings. Unlike the void, which seems to have no emotions, this one seems to have too many, all of them twisted and sharp. There is an undeniable sense of pain here, a deep, festering wound. This is not the clean, perfect predator. This is the rabid wolf. It lashes out not from a place of cold calculation, but from a place of raw, agonizing pain and fury. It doesn't see you as an object to be used, but as a potential threat, or as a symbol of the world that hurt it. Its violence is a scream. So we are left with these two very different kinds of monsters. One was born with a void where a soul should be. The other had a soul, and it was shattered.
So, which one is the psychopath, and which is the sociopath? Let's start with the one that's hardest to comprehend. The void, the cold one, the shark. From a deep Jungian perspective, this is the true psychopath. Their secret, the reason they are so baffling and so dangerous, is that they were born into a state of pure, undivided darkness. There was no original innocence to corrupt. There was no soul to shatter. Think back to that blueprint in the locked drawer. The psychopath's drawer was empty from the start. They arrived here with only the programming of the predator. Their entire life is an exercise in studying the human species in order to mimic it, and therefore dominate it. Their greatest tool is that flawless mask, the persona. For you and me, the persona is a social convenience. We wear a professional mask at work, a relaxed mask with friends. But we know it's a mask. We know who we are underneath. For the psychopath, there is no who underneath. The mask is all they have. Their personality is a mosaic, built from pieces of people they have observed. They copy your laugh, your friend's way of telling a story, a character's expression of sadness from a movie. They are empty vessels, and they fill themselves with the reflections of others to appear whole. This is why they can seem so perfect at first. They are custom-built to be what you want to see. They mirror you, making you feel profoundly understood. But what you're really seeing is just your own reflection in an empty mirror. And here is the truly terrifying idea, the reality shock that goes beyond any clinical diagnosis. The psychopath is not a broken human. They are arguably not human in the way we understand the word at a soul level. From a Jungian standpoint, you could see them as something else entirely, an incarnation of a pure, predatory archetype, a spirit of the void wearing a human suit. They are a glitch in the human experiment. We are social creatures, wired for connection and empathy by what Jung called the collective unconscious, the shared psychic inheritance of humanity. The psychopath was born with no connection to that network. They are a node offline. They hear the music of human emotion, but they feel none of the rhythm. Inside their psyche, there is no war. There is a terrifying peace. For us, our conscience, our ego, is in a constant negotiation with our shadow. We feel guilt, we feel shame, we feel conflict. This is the essence of being human. The psychopath feels none of this. Their shadow isn't in the basement, rattling the door. The shadow is in the driver's seat, wearing a suit and tie, and it is calmly explaining why running you off the road is the most logical next step. Their ego doesn't fight the shadow, it serves it. It is the brilliant, cold lawyer that justifies the shadow's every impulse. They are a perfectly integrated being, but they are integrated in service of darkness. This is why they are so effective. They move through the world with no inner friction, no wasted energy on guilt or remorse. All of their immense focus is directed outward, toward their goals: power, control, and stimulation. They are the ultimate hunters in the human jungle. They are a face of the shadow that is pure, cold, and primordial, a darkness of subtraction, a void. But what about the fire, the rabid wolf, the chaotic, impulsive, hot-headed monster? That is an entirely different story. That is not a story about a void. It's a story about a ruin.
This, then, is the sociopath. And this is not a story about a missing soul. This is a story about a soul that was burned alive. Unlike the psychopath who was born of ice, the sociopath is forged in fire. They didn't start out as a void. They started with the same psychic blueprint as you and me, with the capacity for empathy, connection, and morality. But their world, usually from a very young age, took that blueprint and ripped it to shreds. This is the darkness born from overwhelming trauma, from relentless abuse, from profound neglect, from the chaos of a world that taught them that trust is for fools and violence is the only language that gets results. In this kind of environment, a child's psyche does what it has to do to survive. And this is where their shadow begins to grow. For them, the shadow, that basement full of rage and aggression, isn't just a part of them. It becomes their only shield. It's the only thing that protects them in a world that is actively trying to destroy them. It's a defense mechanism that grows and grows, fed by every betrayal, every act of cruelty they witness and endure. Eventually, that shadow becomes so powerful, so all-consuming, that it smothers the original personality. The ego, the conscious self, doesn't just serve the shadow like in the psychopath, it is drowned by it. The person they were meant to be is gone, buried under the rubble of their own pain. What is left is a ruin, a walking, talking embodiment of trauma. This is why their energy is hot, not cold. Their violence is often a storm of rage, not a calculated assassination. The psychopath plans. The sociopath erupts. Their persona, their social mask, is clumsy and transparent because they are in a constant state of inner war. The rage is always leaking out. They can't maintain the perfect, charming facade because their pain is too real, too present. They feel things, but their feelings are primitive and twisted. They can feel a fierce, possessive loyalty to a small group or a single person, but it's a loyalty born of a desperate need not to be abandoned again. They can feel flashes of searing jealousy, of white-hot anger. Their emotions are real, unlike the psychopaths, but they are the emotions of a wounded animal. They are raw, unfiltered, and dangerous. And here's the crucial, tragic difference. Because they were made and not born this way, there are still ghosts of a person in there, buried under all that rubble. You can sometimes see it, a flicker of the lost child. A moment of vulnerability that seems genuine. This is what makes them so confusing. The psychopath is consistently, terrifyingly empty. The sociopath is consistently, terrifyingly inconsistent. They can be reckless, impulsive, and self-destructive in a way the calculating psychopath never would be. The psychopath plays the long game. The sociopath can barely think past the next 5 minutes, driven entirely by the storm of their immediate feelings. They burn bridges with no thought for the future because their entire psyche is trapped in the fire of their past. So we have the two great archetypes of darkness. One, a being of pure, cold, intelligent emptiness that was never truly human. The other, a raging, chaotic firestorm that is all that remains of a human who was destroyed. The void and the ruined. The soulless and the soul-scorched. But what does the existence of these two faces of darkness mean for us, for the world we live in? The answer is a reflection of our own collective soul, and it tells us more about ourselves than it does about them. So you have the void and the storm, the soulless and the soul-scorched. What does the existence of these two faces of darkness mean for us, for the world we live in?
From a Jungian perspective, the monsters a society produces are always a reflection of that society's own hidden shadow. They are symptoms of the collective sickness. Look at the sociopath, the ruin, the product of fire and trauma. Is it any surprise that our modern world seems to be creating more of them? We live in an age of profound alienation, a time of fractured communities, broken homes, and digital worlds that offer the illusion of connection but leave us more isolated than ever. We celebrate radical individualism, telling people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, even when they have no boots. We create the very conditions of neglect, chaos, and trauma that forge the sociopath. The sociopath is the ghost that haunts our broken systems. They are the scream of a society that has forgotten how to care for its own. They are a living warning that when you create enough ruins, monsters will learn to live in them. The sociopath is the price we pay for our collective neglect. But what about the psychopath, the void, the cold shark? The reflection here is even more disturbing, because our society doesn't just produce psychopaths. In many ways, it rewards them. Think about it. We have built corporate and political systems that value profit over people, power over principles, and success at any cost. In this environment, the psychopath's traits are not liabilities, they are assets. Their lack of empathy allows them to make ruthless decisions without losing sleep. Their charming, artificial persona makes them brilliant leaders and salespeople. Their singular focus on their own goals, unburdened by guilt or loyalty, makes them incredibly efficient. We have built a world where the psychopath's lack of a soul is often mistaken for mental toughness. They thrive in the cold anonymity of a system that sees human beings as numbers on a spreadsheet. The psychopath is the logical conclusion of a culture that has begun to worship ambition without a conscience. So the two faces of the shadow are a perfect mirror to the two faces of our modern world. The sociopath is the screaming wound of our collective trauma, born from the fire of our neglect. The psychopath is the cold, empty smile of our collective ambition, born from the void of our lost humanity. One is a monster of chaos, the other is a monster of order, and we are caught between them. Understanding this difference is not about learning to diagnose people from a distance. It's about understanding the world we are all helping to build. It's about recognizing the fire and the ice within our own culture and within ourselves. The first step is to see them clearly, not as one single monster, but as two distinct warnings, the ruin and the void. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. What does this distinction spark in you? Did you recognize one of these faces more than the other, either in the world or in the stories we tell? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.